We're here back in the Fantasy Bar 6, my favorite place for a big week 2 on FanDuel and DraftKings, including what value running back I'm looking at, my favorite stack of the week, and what guy am I loading up on in every lineup. Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome back, guys. Week 2 edition, Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Good to be back here once again talking NFL football on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Thank you for stopping by the Fantasy Bar. Guys, before we get into things here, make sure you do me a favor and click that thumbs up button on YouTube. Really helps us out a lot. You guys did a great job of that in week 1. Let's see if we can beat that record. And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Get notified when the videos are coming out. We're going to continue to do NFL videos each and every week, along with some baseball videos. So take a look for those later on this week. But NFL is king, and that's what we're here to talk about. One more thing before we get started, guys. Special offer for you guys. Make sure you take advantage of this. Head over to RotoGrinders.com/beer for $5 off a Core 4 premium subscription. It's not only going to cover you for football, we're also going to have you for baseball, the rest of the NBA season, and PGA Tour golf. Great time to get in on some golf with the U.S. Open going on this weekend. So $5 off RotoGrinders.com/beer. All right, let's talk some football here in week 2. It was an interesting week 1, but we turned the page. Let's start at the running back position with some value in Ronald Jones of the Bucs. Now, this is a matchup that I'm probably going to target each and every week. We were very successful in this spot last week with Josh Jacobs scoring 3 touchdowns and pretty much doing whatever he wanted. And I think the thing here with Ronald Jones looks like pretty low ownership. I think that'll tick up as we get closer to Sunday and people realize the matchup that we have here with this Carolina defense. But I think the worries about Leonard Fournette kind of creeping in on this job are going to help keep the ownership down here on Ronald Jones. And while I agree, Leonard Fournette eventually will be the guy here, right now it is Ronald Jones. We saw him dominate the touches in a very difficult matchup in week 1 against the Saints. So let's not hold that against them. The Saints are going to hold running backs down all season long. Guess what? The Panthers are not. They're going to give it up here in droves. This could be a historically bad defense here. And Ronald Jones at these prices, huge upside. Tampa Bay, massive team total approaching 30 here in this spot. A lot of ways you can go with the Tampa offense. I'm going to Ronald Jones here at a mid-range price against this Carolina defense. All right, we saved some money there. That means we're going to spend some money elsewhere. Let's go to tight end here and spend up on Travis KELCE of the Chiefs. That's a spot I want to spend some money on. There are some cheap tight ends, and generally that's the route I want to go. But right here in this spot with Travis KELCE is the way I want to go here. You look at this matchup with the Chargers. Very good defense, no doubt, especially at those cornerback spots. Well, that's going to be Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, and I know they may utilize these guys on Travis KELCE at times as well, but he's the guy that Kansas City will be focused on in the passing game, getting that usage, getting those targets from one of the best in the game, obviously, in Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs also a very high team total in this game, expected to score 4 touchdowns here against this Chargers defense. So tight ends, again, a position a lot of people want to spend down on. Fine with that, but you spend up there, makes your lineup different. KELCE gives you that floor and a massive ceiling, even in a tougher matchup. Love this spot here in week 2 against the Chargers. All right, let's go to the wide receiver position, back to the mid-range. A guy I think is going to go overlooked a little bit this week, T.Y. Hilton of the Colts. So a couple things of note here with T.Y. Hilton. First of all, we have to look at this matchup, and not only were the Vikings destroyed by Devontae Adams, who absolutely tore them up in week 1, but we also saw Marquez Valdes-Scantling have a solid game, along with Allen Lazard putting up numbers. So there's going to be plenty of room for multiple receivers to make hay here against the secondary. That brings me to the next point. Paris Campbell looked outstanding. I really like him as well. You could even double stack these two with Phillip Rivers, but I'm going to go with T.Y. Hilton here. I think he'll be the forgotten man of those two guys. I think people are excited about Paris Campbell. Saw those 9 targets. You're hearing it everywhere. T.Y. had 9 targets as well. But one of the interesting stats that I saw this week while doing research, and this is per our usage trends article that you can find on RotoGrinders, a great source of stats and information. So I wanted to give that a plug here. But T.Y. 1.75 air yards per snap last week. So we know everything air yards, the buy low air yards model, all that kind of stuff is definitely something you're going to want to pay attention to. It's been proven that these kind of guys can pop off, and maybe it's not the next week, maybe it's a few weeks down the line, with T.Y. Hilton, the guy that saw 9 targets, the guy that got a lot of air yards and gets a secondary matchup. Maybe the best on paper that we have this week with Minnesota. Wrap it all up into those prices. Tough to find better value than T.Y. Hilton there in the mid-range. All right, let's go to the quarterback position. Few options I really like this week, but we're going to focus it down to Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. Now, there's a lot of different quarterback plays on the books that I really like this week here in week 2. You want to play Lamar Jackson, no issues with that. Against Houston with a 52-point total, Patrick Mahomes, some other names. But I think this is a spot Dak Prescott really gets it going. We saw him disappoint on a national stage. Tougher matchup with that Rams defense. Aaron Donald causing havoc there for this Cowboys offensive line. But we go from that to a home game with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, this team just gave up almost a perfect performance by Russell Wilson. 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 3 incompletions in that game, one of which was a drop by DK Metcalf. This is just a fantastic matchup. And I know this is a team that wants to run the ball. They're going to do whatever they want here in this matchup. But I think Dak really going to go off here against this team. 28 are the Falcons in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed to the position here. Another big total here. Big home game. Dallas does not want to go 0-2 here. Could get a shootout. So definitely a stackable game as well. Run it back with some Atlanta guys. Hint, hint, we're not done with Dallas here. But Dak, the guy I want here against this terrible Falcons defense. So I hinted at it. We're going to stay with Dallas here. We're going to go to wide receiver position. Lots of guys to choose from here. We're going to roll with CeeDee Lamb. And no issues with Amari Cooper. I also like Michael Gallup, but we had to narrow it down to one, and I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb here. You take Blake Jarwin out of this lineup, which was terrible. Tough to see a guy I really expected big things from in this offense. But I think that's even more targets that are going to go to these 3 receivers. The target distribution just gets a little more narrow here with the loss of Jarwin. And CeeDee Lamb, a guy that was on the field a ton, played over 80% of the snaps in that opening game against the Rams. And you look at these prices, $4,700 on DraftKings, just a tick over $5,000 on FanDuel. I think there's massive upside here with CeeDee Lamb, especially in this matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. We saw both Metcalf and Tyler Lockett have big games, so there's room for a Cooper, a Gallup, a Lamb, for all of these guys to be productive here. Let's take the cheapest guy. Let's shoot for upside here, or even the double stack with a Lamb and a Gallup. Either way you go, CeeDee Lamb, my favorite of the group when considering price. Jamming him in a ton of lineups here this weekend against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for week 2. But before we do that, guys, we're going to continue the Beast of the Week contest. Very simple. It's a thank you to you guys for watching the video. All you have to do, get in the comment section right below the video and guess fantasy points on FanDuel will go with this week. For my Beast of the Week, the closest guess will win themselves either a free week of RotoGrinders Premium, gives you access to everything to try it out for a week, absolutely free of charge, or if you're already a premium subscriber, thank you for that, we'll send you a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. So let's wrap this baby up. Let's take a look. My favorite play for week 2, you know, Mass, the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We owe you one more running back. There's one guy I'm cramming into every lineup this week. It's Derrick Henry of the Titans against the Jaguars, this week's Beast of the Week. So we saw Derrick Henry on that Monday night game. If you stayed up that late, I was one of those guys up till 1:30 watching that game. 34 touches for Derrick Henry. And you got to give it up for that Denver defense. Did a good job kind of slowing him down. But the numbers were still there for Henry. As bad as it kind of looked, he got there eventually. And volume, the king here. If he's going to see this type of volume weekly, as we expect, he's going to be a monster here, especially against this Jacksonville defense. 31st in DVOA against the run last season. Now you take away some of the big guns on that defense from last season. Ramsey, obviously in the secondary, but guys like Ngakoue, Campbell, they lost a ton of guys on that defense, so they're going to go from bad to worse here. And let's take a look at history here for Derrick Henry. We all remember some big games against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right, 7 touchdowns over the last 3 games alone against this Jacksonville team. And in the last 2 games he has played this Jacksonville team at home, he is averaging almost 42 DraftKings points per game. Mic drop here. Very simple. Derrick Henry in a smash spot. Easily my favorite play for week 2 and this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that wraps up for week 2 in the fantasy bar here, talking FanDuel and DraftKings in the NFL. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up right below the video in that comment section. Can also reach out and follow me on Twitter at Beermakersfan. Also, don't forget your gas fantasy points for Derrick Henry on FanDuel for that shot at some free RG premium or that free RotoGrinders t-shirt. Also, rotogrinders.com/beer to take advantage. $5 off, limited time offer. Take advantage of that Core 4 premium subscription. rotogrinders.com/beer. For rotogrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck here in week 2, guys. Again, we'll have some baseball videos trickling out. Keep an eye on that. Good luck. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here for week 3. See ya.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist.